Honey, I'm home. I'm Sangeeta and welcome to my channel. I know it's been a while since I uploaded a new video, but I'm going to make it up to you with this amazing strawberry pastry recipe. This cloud-like pastry can be made in a breeze. It's the right amount of sweetness, and I promise you that whoever gets to taste this will ask you to start selling these because it's that good. If you ask me to choose between a chocolate cake and this strawberry pastry, you'll find me grabbing the strawberry pastry in the blink of an eye. This pastry just disappears in your mouth. It's feathery light, so fresh, and an absolute delight. I really hope I've convinced you enough to try out this recipe because you don't know what you're missing out on. Let's start by breaking in 3 eggs into a large mixing bowl. The eggs I've used are of room temperature. Separate the whites and the yolk. The whites go into the bigger bowl. We will be first aerating the whites. This ensures a soft, fluffy cake. Use an egg white separator or the bottle trick to separate the whites and the yolk. My mother always asked me to break open the egg separately just in case the yolk breaks, but I never listen. So I'll be cleaning up the yolk from the whites now. Now that's done, let's break open the last egg. The recipe is very forgiving, so a little yolk will not spoil the texture or taste of this pastry. Now pour in 1 teaspoon of vinegar, add 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt, use an electric beater and froth up the egg whites until it doubles up. You can see that it's frothy and has big bubbles. This is when you will drop in 3/4 cup or 135 grams of finely granulated sugar. You really need not measure this out in grams. Use a cup that measures 250 grams and measure all of the ingredients in it. This recipe will not go wrong. I've made it so many times already, so use that cup measurement. Now you're going to beat the egg whites once again, starting from a medium speed to a high speed until the egg whites turn really white. You can see the change in color and texture. This will take you anywhere between 3 to 5 minutes. Once it turns creamy like so, I'll be beating it for another 3 minutes so that I can get medium peaks out of it. So how do you get to know if your egg whites are ready? The peak stays up but the tip collapses. So when you take your beater and then pull up the egg whites, you can see that the stiff actually stays, but then the tip has a small hook shape. If your egg whites barely hold their shape and flop over immediately, then it's called as soft peaks. So you're going to beat that again for another 2 to 3 minutes. But if it holds the shape well with the tip curling, then it's medium. And if the peaks are firm without a curl, then it's a stiff peak. You will have to aim for a medium peak, but it's alright if you do end up with a stiff peak. Now that the whites are ready, you can see that I've already gotten a medium peak. Now toss in the egg yolks into the egg whites. Pour in 1 teaspoon of vanilla essence. Now pour in 3 tablespoons of cooking oil. I'm using sunflower oil over here. Please make sure to use odorless oil. Beat this on medium for a few seconds, then on high until it's combined. Do not overwhip this. I've kept this on a real time and have not speed up the process so you can actually see how long I have beaten it. Now take a spatula and scrape the sides and bottom. You can actually see streaks of whites yet to be combined, but that's alright. I won't be mixing this anymore. I'll mix up the rest after adding the flour. It's important to not overmix and deflate the batter. Let's show you how to measure flour when using cup measurements. We need a total of 1 cup of flour. In gram measurements, that would be 145 grams. Use a spoon to pile the flour into the cup. Don't pack it or shake it. Now drop that into the batter. Toss in 1 teaspoon of baking powder. Cut and fold the batter just until the flour is mixed. Do not overmix the batter. Please do not use the electric beater either. Carefully fold it in using a spatula. I'm using my left hand to demonstrate and I'm not doing a good job at it, but I hope you get the idea. Scrape the sides and bottom while folding. Our batter is now ready. You can see how beautifully the ribbons are flowing. That's how your batter should look. It's airy and light. And now our batter is ready. Line a baking tray with parchment paper. The baking tray I'm using measures 14 into 9 inches. You can also use a baking tin. I'm planning to cut the sheet cake using this rectangular shaped frame. I know I'll do a terrible job at cutting layers using a knife, so sheet cake works best for me. You don't have to butter the baking paper or the tin. Pour the batter gently and spread the batter evenly. Meanwhile, preheat the oven at 150 degrees Celsius. Make sure to spread the batter to the sides as well. This batter does not spread by itself in the oven, so try your best to spread this as evenly as possible. Once done, pat the tray on the counter a few times. Bake this at 150 degrees Celsius in a preheated oven for 20 minutes. It took me a total of 20 minutes baking time, but it might take you 25 to 30 minutes. So keep an eye out after the 15-minute mark. The cake is out of the oven. It's hot and so soft and spongy. I couldn't resist not touching it soon after it was out. Now we're going to let this cool down for a little, for about 5 minutes only. Now we are going to flip this over to remove the parchment paper. Please make sure to do this while it's still warm, else the parchment paper ends up sticking to the cake when it cools. So you'll have to do this while it's still warm. Flip the cake onto the tray and remove the parchment paper carefully. You can peel it off the cake easily. Also, if you're new to this channel, hi and welcome. Do not forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel. You can also follow me on my Instagram page at honeyimhome. I'll leave the link description down below. Also press the bell notification to get notified every single time I post a new video. If you have tried recreating any of my recipes, I would love to see the photos and you can send that across on my Instagram page. Also, I love reading a comment, so feel free to comment. You can tell me how good the recipe was or what didn't work out for you. I'm totally being handsy on this cake, but I can't help it. It's pillowy soft. Let the cake cool and then we are going to use the frame and cut the cake. My cake would have 3 layers. You can use this base recipe and make all sorts of pastry, pineapple, mixed fruit, or layer it with some jam or fruit compote. But please do not have this cake all by itself. This cake recipe is not for like a tea or chiffon cake. Only use this recipe to make a pastry. Now, if you're wondering why I said that, it's because the base tastes a little eggy on its own and it's not that sweet either. So it's a big no-no to eat it by itself. You can make the cake beforehand and cling wrap it. I like making these ahead of time and then assembling it later. But if you do decide to make it the same day, that's okay as well. You'll be able to bake and assemble the cake within an hour and a half. It's that easy to make. Let's whip up some fresh cream. The one I'm using is 30% fat and unsweetened. You'll need a total of 400 grams of fresh cream. You can use whipping cream too. Now, because I'm using a cream that has only 30% fat, it would be difficult for me to have a stable whipping cream. In order to make the cream a little stable, I'll be adding a stiffener. Add 2 teaspoons of powdered sugar for every 200 grams of cream. And now you're going to whip it up. When the cream doubles in quantity, I'll be adding a pack of this stiffener. If this is not available where you are staying, then please use whipping cream. I couldn't find whipping cream here, so this works for me. The cream is beautifully whipped. It's soft as you can see, but it will hold its shape. Now let's make a simple syrup. In a pot, add half a cup of water. Turn on the flame to a high and toss in 1/4 of a cup of sugar into it. Do not skip this step. You must use this simple syrup. Also, don't reduce the amount of sugar either. This cake is the perfect amount of sweetness. If anything, you might want to add more sugar, but I prefer keeping it like this. Once the water comes to a boil, turn off the flame, keep it aside, and take it off the flame. Add half a teaspoon of vanilla essence into this and keep it aside to completely cool down. I'm adding the vanilla essence over here because the cake tastes a little eggy, and to cut off that egginess, I'm going to add a little bit of vanilla essence, and I really hope you do that as well. As you can see, I've wrapped up my cake in cling wrap. This makes sure that the cake doesn't dry up. I've got my strawberries ready for this cake. Make sure to use fresh, sweet strawberries or any fruit that is in season right now. Sour strawberries are no fun, so make sure it's in season. I'm planning on making a design on top of the cake like you've seen in the beginning of the video. So this is how I did it. Cut the middle portion of the strawberry like so, cut off the top and slice the middle piece. Let's assemble the cake. I'll be layering the cake in the frame. I'm placing a cling wrap so that I can take it out easily. Lay the first layer out flat. Press the edges too. Now brush a thin layer of sugar syrup on the cake. Don't pour too much, you don't want a soggy cake. Once done, add a very thin layer of whipping cream. Now place the strawberry flat like so. This is a naked cake, so make sure that the edges look pretty because it will be visible. Now add a generous layer of cream, spread it out evenly. Add the second layer, press it firmly, brush it with some sugar syrup, add a layer of cream, place the strawberry, add more cream and cover. Now onto the final layer, brush the simple syrup and add a thin layer of cream for the strawberries to stick. This is how I plan on arranging the strawberries. You can decorate it however you want to though. That's done. I've added a thin layer of glaze on top of the strawberries. That's totally unnecessary. You need not do it. Close the cake up using the cling wrap and place it in the fridge for at least an hour or two. You must chill this cake before serving. I like making it the previous day or at least chilling it for 6 hours. The cake has been in the fridge for over 3 hours. Now it's time to unmold it. The cake slides off easily from the frame and you can take off the cling wrap using a long knife. You can get a total of 6 slices out of this pastry. Looks gorgeous, right? Look at the texture, it's pillowy soft and so fresh. It just melts in your mouth and it tastes so good. I hope you do get to try this soon and you have enjoyed watching this video. So I'll see you until next time.